Taria of the Lunar Castle was the last member of her family to survive. She lived alone in the big manor, where she loved to read books. She also loved to sit in the parlor and set her tea until sunset. She had a fiancé named Hardwin, and he was very devoted to her. He knew most things about her, but sometimes Taria was very secretive, especially when it came to going outside after dark. Usually the couple would say their goodnights at sunset, and Hardwin would walk home. Taria would stand for the night and go to bed early. The minute Hardwin would be through the gates of the Lunar Castle and on his way down the road, Taria would walk through the house, lock all the doors and windows, and head up to her room. The one thing Hardwin never knew about his fiancée was that on every full moon, she would open the window to her bedroom, stare at the moon, and transform into a creature only told in fairy tales. Taria of Lunar Castle, the last of her family, was one of the only surviving werewolves known to the realm of Faenbel. She has kept his secret for her entire life, because most of her family has either died of old age, or was captured and murdered by village people. Being the last of her kind, she was very cautious, and only left to go outside at night on Lunar Castle property, where she would meet with the wild wolves, the closest thing to family she had. One day she and her fiancé had a lovely dinner. They laughed, sang and danced, but didn't realize that the sun was setting and that tonight was a full moon. When she saw the sun setting, she rushed Hardwin out of the castle to prepare for tonight's full moon. She ran through the castle, trying to walk through every door she could think of, but tonight, she made a mistake. She forgot to lock the side door that leads to the garden. She ran upstairs, opened her window, and prepared for her transformation. She looked at the moon, took a deep breath, and felt the change coming. She started to sweat, and her nails grew. She began to grow fangs and raised a tremendous amount of fur. She looked in the mirror and saw herself as if she was the werewolf of Lunar Castle. She descended the stairs, out the kitchen door, and walked through the foggy garden where her wolf family awaited her. Did she know that she would have a surprise visitor coming into the castle looking for her? Her loving fiancé forgot his key to his home and walked into the castle, calling for her when he couldn't find her. He was worried and saw that the kitchen door was open. He then ran out the door and walked through the garden, where he heard mysterious noises and howling and growling. He thought wolves had trapped his beloved fiancé, so he peeked around the corner of the stone wall and saw something he had only heard rumors of. He looked at this creature with fear in his eyes. When she finally turned around, he looked at her in shock. He recognized the dress and her face, and realized that this werewolf, this creature running around with wolves, was his fiancée Taria. All these emotions and thoughts ran through his head. He thought, how could he not know? He thought this was why she didn't leave after dark and rushed me out at sunset. He thought about how the woman he loved and wanted to marry and have children with is a werewolf. He sat down on the ground and thought for a while. He loves her with all his heart, but could he love her through this? He thought of all the fun times they had when they played music together and walked into town during the day to go to the market to pick food to cook dinner. At that moment, he decided he didn't care if she was a werewolf. He loved her and would be there for her. He must have sat there longer than he thought, because the sun started coming up, and he returned to look at Taria. She was petting the wolves and saying goodbye, and she turned around and looked at the sun, and turned back into the beautiful woman he knew and loved. He never spoke of that night, but he respected her choice to keep it a secret and tell him when she could. Later, he went to his home, lay in his bed, and smiled, knowing he would always love Taria of Lunar Castle, the werewolf of Lunar Castle.